Hi, glad to see you again. Today we'll continue our journey on kidney transplant immune rejection in the frame of Godfather. For a kingdom that barely survived a life-threatening crisis, every peaceful day feels like a blessing. The citizens of Chubb Kingdom begin to savor their hard-earned stability, even taking cautious steps toward a healthier lifestyle. But the calm doesn't last. Barely a month after the new waste factory was brought in, trouble strikes again. Since the transplant, a few inspectors, dendritic cells, have quietly visited the facility. Their mission? To verify the foreign workers' HLA identification badges and assess the factory's surroundings. What they find raises alarm. The badges look strange, completely unfamiliar. It is not safe for the kingdom. The inspectors waste no time. They document everything and rush to the nearest command center, the lymph nodes stationed around the factory. There, the chief inspectors, helper officers, CD4 plus T cells, analyze the reports. After thorough review, their conclusion is clear. These foreigners don't match any record in our national census. They're not guests. They're invaders. The helper officers hit the alarm. They dispatch a storm of encrypted warning messages, cytokines, to activate multiple defense units, the attacker troops, CD8 plus T cells, the chemical weapons unit, B cells, and countless neighborhood patrols. Some helper officers enter high alert mode, rapidly cloning themselves and forming elite sub-squads, preparing for what might become a great patriotic war. The first to arrive are the rapid response beat cops, neutrophils, stationed near the factory. No questions asked, no time to waste. They launch their attack with chemical sprays, enzymes, and oxidative bubble bombs, ROS, setting fire to the factory. Chaos erupts. The SWAT team, CD8 plus cytotoxic T cells, more refined and deadly, arrives next. Armed with the ID photos, they identify and corner the suspicious targets. Their method is brutal but effective. They pierce a hole in the enemy's defenses using perforin, then lob in granzymes, small bombs that make the target explode from the inside. The factory workers, though hardworking and innocent, are blown to pieces. Meanwhile, the weapon technicians, B cells, upon receiving the call to arms, wear somber expressions. They know many of them will die in action or live a life of long-term seclusion after completing their mission. Still, with no hesitation, they begin transforming into mini superglue weapon factories, plasma cells, doubling or tripling in size to produce massive quantities of donor-specific antibodies, DSA. Upon arrival at the battlefront, they release these DSA superglues, which tightly bind to the factory's pipe gatekeepers, endothelial cells. This makes the SWAT team and other attackers even more effective. Soon, the Cascade landmines complement system are reactivated, destroying the inner structure of the factory all over again. As smoke and fire billow into the sky, other fighters across the kingdom are galvanized into action and charge into the fray. Among them are the rogue agents, NK cells. With a special license to kill and no need for instructions, they patrol independently. If they spot any cell lacking a proper ID badge, MHCY, they strike immediately, sometimes so fast and recklessly that they even take out innocent citizens. Near the end of the chaos, the cleanup crew, macrophages, marches in. These bulky powerhouses engulf debris into their massive bodies, phagocytosis, trying to clear the battlefield. But they're not subtle. They send out more alarm signals, inflammatory cytokines, calling in even more reinforcements. This time, instead of calming the situation, they escalate the destruction. The cleanup becomes a second wave of war. Now the kingdom is in utter turmoil. Fires blaze across the land, a kingdom-wide fever. Energy supply is unstable. Chubb Kingdom alternates between intense heat and chilling cold, fever and chills. Waste piles up and the circunet swells with pollution. Hypertension causes the pressure on the circulation pump skyrockets. Everyone is asking the same question: will Chubb Kingdom suffer a stroke? The king is heartbroken. He is carried to the local police station on a stretcher. This war, it shouldn't have happened. Not now. Not like this. That factory, it was our last hope, not an enemy. And now, it's broken. If we keep fighting like this, we'll lose everything? His deep sorrow silences the entire kingdom. Non-fighting citizens freeze in fear. Once again, it falls to the consultant team to clean up the mess. They immediately order massive doses of fire quenchers, corticosteroids, to be delivered via the circunet. The chemical flood rapidly calms down the helper T-cell officers, slowing and suppressing the dispatch of alarm messages, cytokines. Deprived of stimulation, the SWAT police, CD8 plus T-cells, and other killer units begin to lose energy, momentum, and coordination. No new troops arrive. The battlefield quiets. Most fighters retreat from the factory through the circunet, returning to the safety of local police stations. Some helper T-cells and SWAT officers morph into memory cells, hiding away until the next attack. A few plasma cells retreat to the bone marrow nursery, where they quietly preserve their ability to produce antibodies. These long-lived plasma cells can survive for many years, even a lifetime, depending on whether new immune challenges occur and the survival signals in their environment. Even so, aggressive police and killer cells still lurk within the waste factory and the nearby lymph nodes. The assault on the new waste factory may not cease unless more decisive action is taken. Here comes a drastic order. Thymoglobulin, a powerful multifunctional glue, a polyclonal antibody cocktail designed to choke out SWAT units, CD8 plus T cells, weapons technicians, B cells, messenger cells, monocytes, and even the riot police, neutrophils, is deployed. Those brave but misguided fighters, now glued and immobilized by thymoglobulin, become ignition points that trigger dormant floating tornadoes, complement activation. The result? Many are blown apart in a burst of immune fury. The entire kingdom is shaken by this brutal move. Yes, a waste management factory is essential, but how could chemical weapons are used against Chubb Kingdom's own troops? The aftermath is chaos. As T-cells die, they scream out a storm of inflammatory messages, cytokines, igniting a wave of fever, chills, and near collapse of both the central pump factory and the circulatory system circunet. With much of the defense system wiped out by thymoglobulin, the kingdom becomes dangerously vulnerable. Sure enough, about a week later, cold viruses, followed by Streptococcus pneumonia and Haemophilus influenzae, attempt to invade and rob the weakened kingdom. Luckily, the remaining defense crews rally, supported by a few outside helpers, a mild fire quencher, ibuprofen, a decongestant, pseudoephedrine, and a bacterial killer, amoxicillin. The attack is repelled. Gradually, the kingdom returns to a fragile peace and the waste factory resumes function. To prevent future attacks, the king and his consultants roll out a long-term management strategy. 1. Calcineurin inhibitors like tacrolimus and cyclosporin are used to prevent SWAT team activation and recruitment. 2. The king also orders a shutdown of the police recruitment office using mycophenolate mofetil, MMF, to prevent T and B cells from cloning themselves, keeping overall immune numbers low. 3. Finally, low doses of fire quenchers, prednisone, are applied continuously to contain any occasional flare-ups near the factory. Even the king himself finds it hard to believe. His kingdom survives another 8 years.